Gracefully and Frankly is generously sponsored by Sierra Sil, all mineral anti-inflammatories. Start the year ahead with a spring in your step. Take care of joint pain with these capsules, spray, and yes, Sierra Sil has pet chews that we witnessed helping our older dogs jump up on the bed again and regain movement.
Check them all out online, sierrasil.com. Sierra like the mountains, SIL.com. And get 10% off your purchase with the code GF.
Well, we've got so much to catch up on here, Lisa. It feels like, I don't know, a month since you and I talked last.
It does. It's weird. I guess because of the time of year, so much going on.
Yeah, but we wanted, before we get ahead of ourselves, to start this week's show with a voicemail. And we usually kind of leave it till a little bit towards the end of the show. But this from Claire was just so sweet.
She sent it on Facebook, just going to Messenger and hitting the little microphone, and she recorded this for us. We were so thrilled at how thrilled she was with the last episode.
I loved everything about episode 105. I really felt the loving friendship the two of you have. And I have to say, it made me smile ear to ear. So real and so honest. And what a great way to end the show. I'm still singing along with Mike and Aaron. I can't wait for our bonus Boxing Day episode. I think I'll get up extra early so I can sit back and enjoy the morning solitude while I listen. Thanks, Lisa and Aaron. You two are the best. Happy New Year to all the Queenagers.
Well, thank you, Claire, and to every Queenager who has made this year so special for us. We really, really do mean it. And to honorary Queenagers, well, I guess they really are in terms of demographic, but Kathy and Kim from Envy Pillow, they've had quite a year, and I just loved their end-of-year note to people who have either bought Envy Pillows or just been friends like we have.
Yeah. As you know, as everybody knows, they're two nurses, and Kim is now marking 3 years since her breast cancer diagnosis. And she's just such a little dynamo. Well, they both are, but she's inspiring Kathy, and they're such close friends. They started as hockey players together, and all those pictures of the two women in bed acting silly, and that's Kathy and Kim. I mean, they do it. They do it all. They are the marketing and the faces of Envy Pillow and the accessories that they sell too. But we're just so tickled that Kim's feeling well and that everything's on track for them despite this rather significant bump in the road that they had.
Yeah, lots of bumps too with supply issues and that, but everything's up and rolling again. And you can find out more at envypillow.com. That's ENVY pillow.com. We're so proud to be part of their team. And if you use the code GF, you get 10% off. Well, your pillow's getting a lot of work this week. Holy, you must be exhausted. I mean, Monday was your wedding anniversary. Tuesday, Derek's birthday. Wednesday, I don't know, yesterday, Christmas. Today, Boxing Day, and of course, release day for a bonus brand new episode of Gracefully and Frankly. So, how many years for you and Derek?
15 years married. It just went like that.
Yeah, I remember where you were. We were in a hotel room in Mexico because I took a picture of my dress that night. I looked hot. And I know it's all about me. And I got this message from you that you and Derek had gotten married in Vegas.
Yeah, we did. We had each done the big weddings before, and we thought, let's just do this for us. And I know both of our mothers were not thrilled. His mom felt a little left out, which I felt terrible about. And my mom just was speechless, which is the first time in history that happened. But it was really fun for us. And we got married on a Harley. I mean, what more can you ask for?
Oh, my God. And did you stay on the bike and just go up like you were ordering at Wendy's? Or how did that work?
No, we got off the bike. And a pastor, a real legit pastor from a nearby church, married us, and it's a drive-through or drive-up wedding chapel, the Little White Chapel in Las Vegas. People know it. J-Lo and Ben got married there. Not that they're going to put that in the sign, but they developed this idea for people who are disabled so they wouldn't have to get out of the car.
What?
And we took advantage, and they said, you can do this if you want. We had a rented Harley, so we pulled up on our Harley and got married there.
Well, I guess you don't have to worry about getting your hair done on the wedding day. That would be one thing.
No, we're wearing leather. I mean, and take your helmet off. Yeah, exactly. Except he had a radio station jacket on, and I kept folding it over so the logo wasn't showing. And so you can see me in our 1.5 minute long video. You can see me pulling the flap over so it covers the logo.
Wow, 1.5 minutes. That's about how long our honeymoon lasted. But anyway, no, I'm guessing with the fleeting nature of radio that your marriage was going to last longer than any gig at a radio station. Did that
Yes,
prove to be true?
Yeah.
There you go. So what is 15 years? I mean, I know 1 year is paper, and we all know silver 25, gold 50. So what is
15 years is crystal, and the modern one, that's the traditional one. The modern one is watches, and the stone is a ruby. So I would like a crystal bowl of rubies. Thank you. No, I got a pair of gloves, though, and that's really what I wanted. So we went right off book. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you do the gloves on your anniversary on Monday, what happened yesterday for Christmas? I guess you don't get gloves.
All sorts of wonderful things. No, I didn't get gloves. He got me the coolest keyboard that clacks like a typewriter. It's the neatest thing. And for those of us who remember the old school feeling of clicking a typewriter, that's exactly what it's like. It's the neatest thing.
Okay, I'm sorry. It just sounds like it, or does it make your computer laptop feel like you're actually pressing the keys on a good old IBM Selectric?
It's an external keyboard that feels you have to press it harder, a little bit harder, and it makes a sound as well. So it's a little bit of both. Kind of neat, eh?
It is neat.
What about you?
Well, we went totally minimalistic this year because we weren't going to do anything at all. And like we discussed last week, we're the kind of people who through the year, if we want something, we just kind of order it and get it and all that. So Rob got me a few things. He was running around this week. The dogs were groomed on Monday, and he was going to be going into Walmart on the Monday before Christmas, Lisa. I didn't know if I was going to see him again.
Wow.
But just a few little things. But the one purchase that really kind of tickled me, we went into Kohl's, which is a big department store near here, last week. And we knew that we were going to this dinner party yesterday, which was so much fun. It started at 1 PM, which is great in our age demographic.
Yes.
And he showed up wearing this blazer. It's so cheap that, it probably is going to fall apart in 2 days. But it had Will Ferrell, Elf, all over it. It was in my journal on Monday. And just the fact we walked in, they were right there. And I said, that'd be perfect. And he didn't say no. And I thought, sure he would, but he didn't. He said yes. He tried it on. He posed for me, and then we bought it. It was $70 on for $40, and then we got the 20% off because Kohl's always surprises you at the checkout. So it was $30 US, as Rob said, $30 for a sight gag is what it basically turned out to be.
Yeah, but that's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And then the kids saw him in it. On Monday night, we did a FaceTime with Colin and Jane in Ottawa, and he had on that jacket, so it was a big hit. And we told them what we're doing for them for Christmas. Now, last week, I told you we were going to do sort of an experience rather than a present, right?
Yep.
So we decided we can't quite time going to Ottawa for March break, but we can go there for Easter. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Ottawa around Easter, so like the 2nd/3rd week of April. And it so happens that on the Saturday before Easter Sunday, none other than the Harlem Globetrotters are coming to the arena right near their place where the Senators play.
Nice.
The kids know the Harlem Globetrotters, which is amazing to me because they've been around forever in different incarnations. So the four of us are going to go and see the Harlem Globetrotters together.
That is so great. Talk about, this is an experience that threads right through the generations, right? I mean, how long have the Globetrotters been around? Decades.
Yeah.
That's so great.
So speaking of things that have been around forever, and in our case, we don't have any because we were at somebody else's house last night. You have found an article that really is good advice for me, for everybody, on how long leftovers can survive, those blessed, wonderful turkey sandwiches and stuff.
Well, I went beyond that into the Canadian government, and I looked all over the place for the official advice on leftovers. Now, I don't know about you, but I do a sniff test and a has it stayed together test, and has it got very, okay, I can't say this word, Erin. Starts with an S and ends with limey. It just gives me the heebie-jeebies, but that's one of the things to look for. Oh, okay. So anyway, the American government says that this is where this all started. Obviously, everybody wants to graze on leftovers afterwards. That's why you do the giant meal. But most refrigerated leftovers should be eaten within 3 to 4 days. That is turkey, beans, potatoes, pumpkin pie, whatever. Some things can be left on the counter for a couple days, like a fruit pie, breads and rolls that are full of preservatives and everything. I wouldn't even worry about them till you see something green. Cranberry sauce lasts up to 10 days as well in the fridge. But my question was always, when do you put them in the fridge? I have a friend who is adamant that if you put something made of tomato in the fridge when it's warm, it'll make you sick. Now, does that make any sense to you? It makes no sense to me, but there are all these myths about what to do with leftovers, and even the experts say there's no hard and fast rules about how long they last. You know, take them out, sniff them, taste them, get somebody you don't like to taste them, whatever. Your little brother, if you have a little brother. But 2 things that they say are really important. One is your fridge temperature.
Oh.
So it should be 4 or 5 degrees.
Okay.
And that's something I've never looked at. Maybe Derek's a fridge temperature expert. I don't know. I've never really checked it out. It's kind of like, oh, there's a fridge. And the other thing is, as soon as food stops steaming, get it in the fridge. You know, some people love to put stuff out and wait until it's room temperature and on. But the Canadian government's guidelines say that's when bacteria love to come in and do its little dance.
Oh, geez. Our son-in-law, his family came from food preparation and sales and that sort of thing, and he would never put anything hot in the fridge for, I think, that reason.
Yeah.
Because I guess condensation or something in the packaging or container. I never quite understood any of it. I just put stuff in the fridge when I'm ready to clean up.
Yeah, and as long as it's not steaming hot, I'd rather have condensation than bacteria. Call me crazy. You know, that advice about keeping the meat separate from other foods and all that kind of stuff, that's so important. And yet a lot of people just poo-poo that advice, and they're perfectly healthy. So if you've thawed your leftovers and you don't eat them all, they should be tossed. You know, never refreeze something that you've thawed and stuff like that. And most of us know that kind of stuff. It's just that even if they said, absolutely, you will get whatever after 3 days if you don't eat it, somebody is going to open the package on the 4th and go, seems fine to me.
Right, right. Because that's what our predecessors did, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we came along, so they ended up okay.
For the most part. But I mean, that is such an old trope where people say, hey, we drank out of the hose outside on a hot summer day. Yeah, you did, didn't you?
Yeah, it didn't mean it was wise.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
So when in doubt, throw it out. That's how both the American and the Canadian governments end their guidelines. When in doubt, throw it out. So I guess that's I hate to waste food. Derek hates to waste food. If something's gone bad, I pretty much have to get rid of it when he's not looking. He'll be like, no, I can crunch through that mold. Don't worry about it.
That's right. I cut stuff off cheese all the time because I figure, isn't it starting to mold anyway? Isn't that part of the process? I don't know.
Cutting it off the cheese? Absolutely. I wouldn't get rid of a whole thing of cheese if it was just a little bit on the end. No,
it's cheese. Speaking of cheese, did you see the Wham! Last Christmas Unwrapped on Netflix?
Not yet, no.
Oh, God.
Why? Is it super cheesy? Well, I guess it would be, yeah.
I don't want to diss somebody's very favorite Christmas song. And I'm not going to because, 40 years since this song came out, and there's such a fascinating history behind it. And now, of course, to the present, where it's hit another milestone. And we'll get to all that in a second. But we were watching this the other night, kind of a palate cleanser after we finished watching season 2 of The Diplomat. Oh my God.
Isn't it good?
What an ending. So we did this thing and we watched it, and it's kind of the making of the whole Last Christmas video. They went to Switzerland. They shot all this stuff. George had this idea for the song, ran upstairs from Andrew's house, came down with his little keyboard and said, I've got this. They recorded it. They did the video. But the whole thing, Lisa, as they talked to producers and people who took part, it's like, oh, yes, for many people, this is the quintessential Christmas song. This song is really all about loss and Christmas. And there's no song really that sums up Christmas like this.
Are you kidding me?
I know, and I'm thinking, what is this, Handel's Messiah?
Exactly.
It was a poppy Christmas song on an electronic keyboard with an electronic beat. And yeah, it's a great song, but it's not the greatest song.
Right.
Oh, I don't know. I was just watching it, and at one point I looked to Rob, and I'm going like, are we all hearing about the same song? Anyway, it's a song that's dear to a great many people. And the stories behind it, oh my gosh, it was so destined to be number one at Christmas when it came out 40 years ago, because that was the thing, right? That's the gold ring when you're a British pop star, right?
Yeah, the Christmas number one, so silly. Just a strange phenomenon there that doesn't happen elsewhere, yeah.
And thanks to social media, last Christmas, finally made it to number one. And this year, yesterday, Christmas, it was number one again, 2 years in a row. Yeah. And you'll remember, of course, which song kept it out of number one 40 years ago.
Oh, yeah, of course I will. No? What was it?
Do They Know It's Christmas?
Oh, Band-Aid, of course.
Yes, and in such a great act of magnanimity, George Michael came home from Switzerland at Heathrow after shooting the video for what they knew was going to be the number one, and went straight to the studio with Bob Geldof and all the other stars and went, oh, crap, our song's not going to be number one. Yeah, but he donated all the royalties that year to the famine in Ethiopia, and has since all the royalties from Last Christmas continue to go to charity every year.
Yeah. George was a good guy. I miss George. It's hard to believe he's been gone for 8 years.
Yeah.
He was only 53, right?
Oh, my gosh.
I remember leaving for Christmas break that year, and one of my favorite songs, top 5 in the world, is Freedom 90 by George Michael. And I was sitting in my little office, had it cranked. The last thing I heard before I left for Christmas break was that song.
Wow.
And it was just so creepy and weird that he died.
Yeah, it was fatty liver and heart failure. So his legacy goes on, and he was so beloved by everybody. If you want an hour just to cleanse your palate and enjoy some poppy synth, and again, Sam Smith is in it as well. And you get to see little snippets of Do They Know It's Christmas and Band-Aid and Sting and Bono and Bob Geldof, of course, the whole crew. That was our only Christmas movie this year, believe it or not.
Well, we watched Love Actually for the 9th time. And again, the Christmas number one is one of the big stories in that as well.
Yeah.
That movie has not lost anything for me.
I'm glad. Well, some celebrities that we lost in 2024, and there are so many more than I'm going to share here. So if one of your favorites like Louis Gossett Jr. or Shelley Duvall isn't mentioned, I've just mentioned them. So
yes,
not a surprise, but a big, Norman Lear at 101, eh?
What a great life. What an incredible life.
Yeah. James Earl Jones passed away. Maggie Smith. Couple of funny men, Martin Mull and Richard Lewis.
Loved Richard Lewis.
I know. We lost the incredible Quincy Jones, Chris Christopherson, who was a double threat, in terms of his songwriting, his singing and his acting, of course. Eric Carmen, I know you had a big thing for Eric Carmen.
No, Eric Carmen was a MAGA, and I was surprised to find that out.
Isn't that sad that we kind of know this in retrospect and you go, okay, I don't care if you are all by yourself.
No, yeah.
Oh, dear. Oh.
Moving on.
Tito Jackson. Wow.
Can I tell you a little 680 News story about Tito Jackson?
Oh, I can't wait.
Well, we never met him or anything, but you know the word germane, as in you're germane to the story.
Yes, it was Jermaine. We had to get it in.
That's right. So there is of course, Jermaine Jackson. Mm-hmm. But because Paul Cook and I used to come up with all this shorthand lingo that we would use, instead of saying Jermaine, we would call a story Tito. So when we were deciding where it was going to go in the lineup or whether it was going to go in the lineup, he'd say, oh, no, that one's got to be in. It's Tito. Oh. And everybody would look at us like we were out of our minds and only he and I knew what we meant. Oh. That's what it meant. Isn't that ridiculous?
No, I love the in-studio shorthand.
Oh, Tito.
Yeah, Tito. Bob Newhart. What a career. I mean, he never reinvented himself because the character he invented was himself. But that character, there was always a desire to see him, to watch him, to have him on your show.
Yeah, and you knew he was going to sort of act like he couldn't find his words and he was going to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
It was like almost a warm, fuzzy feeling. Oh, there's Bob Newhart doing his thing.
Yeah, and the bumbler, Tommy Smothers, too.
Yep.
But brilliant, absolutely brilliant. David Soul. Oh, my God, Lisa, such a crush I had on him. When the opening strains of Don't Give Up on Us would come on the radio, I would crank it and almost immediately start to cry.
Oh, no.
Oh, I know, to be a teen again. Richard Simmons.
Yeah. Both of our favorite interviews.
Yes. Yeah.
He was such a hoot. Yeah.
Phil Donahue. He really started it all, didn't he, in terms of talk shows?
And it's really hard to explain to somebody who wasn't there how important he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There had been talk shows before, but Phil didn't treat his audience. He didn't talk down to them in kind of a cavit way. He wasn't trying to be smarter than the room. He wanted to involve all the quote-unquote housewives in the conversation.
Yep.
Terry Garr.
Oh, yeah.
I had a chance to work with her in a CHFI commercial. When we used to just drop in TV and movie stars and stuff. And she was a little bit distant, and she always held her wrist to her body. And we didn't know why at the time, but of course she had MS, right?
There's always a reason to give somebody grace, right?
Oh, obviously, yes. And then Shannon Doherty.
Just so young. Yeah. Just so young.
And complicated. There were some deaths that made us go, what? This year, I mean, some stars were well up in their years and had great lives, and we've named some of them, but One Direction's Liam Payne, oh my gosh.
I think that one hit me the hardest this year, and it's not because I'm a big One Direction fan, but it's just this guy had seemingly everything, including addiction, right?
Yeah.
Very sad.
31. The one that hurt us for days and days was the Hockey brothers, Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau. Just so tragic. Both in the prime of their lives with young families and big events coming up. They were cycling the night before their sister's wedding and hit by an alleged drunk driver. Just so damn tragic.
Oh, I think we can say drunk driver. I will.
Two huge Canadians, Donald Sutherland, Norman Jewison, Fiddler on the Roof. That was Jewison, not Sutherland, but Sutherland, we could be here all day talking about his credits. And an honorary Canadian, if you'd have put me under the guillotine and said, it's going to drop if you're wrong, I'd be headless. Joe Flaherty, not a Canadian,
right,
but lived in Canada, died in Canada, and the co-founder of SCTV.
Yeah, he was just such I can picture him in so many things as soon as you see his name going, jackass, in Happy Gilmore. And he really committed.
He really did. Joe Flaherty. We lost the voice of Hockey Night in Canada, Bob Cole. Oh, baby. And a few other big names we knew in sports, for better or worse. Pete Rose. Mm-hmm. Do I even mention OJ? I mean, he died.
Apparently he had some sort of a football career. He's still in the record books, apparently. But
is he?
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah. Say Hey Willie Mays. one-time Blue Jay, stolen base king Ricky Henderson just the other day, and Jay's manager from 86 to 89, Jimmy 1M Williams.
Jimmy Williams, again, during that time when I was on the air, I insisted.
Did you call him Jimmy?
But on purpose.
Oh!
On purpose. I used to say, it was like a shtick, and somebody would say, it's Jimmy, and I'd say, there's one M, I'm calling him Jimmy. And I knew it was Jimmy, but it was just a shtick. Like, okay, oh my goodness, she's going to call him Jimmy again.
Well, then you're going to know the shtick associated with another athlete who passed in 2024, Chai Rodriguez.
Yes. WKRP, Les Nessman.
Yeah. Chichi Rodriguez also. Oh, goodness. Well, safe travels to them all, and may neither you nor I be on the list next year, because I'm just going to sob through the whole thing. I don't know.
Something that's great about social media, we talk about how social media is wrecking us, that keeps track of a whole bunch of things, including the top 3 most commented on segments of Gracefully and Frankly for the year.
Wait, that's a thing?
It's a thing for us. And,
okay.
And it's
Sure.
kind of cool. The things that we talked about this year that got the most engagement and the most comments, the most likes, the people the most involved with. You ready?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So number 3 was when you prepared to visit us in Port Stanley and you designed the name for your guest suite. Isn't that the best? Now, for anybody who didn't catch it, go back and find it. But please share the name.
Yes, Aaron B&B. And you got your little cricket out and you made a sticker or some kind of voodoo magic and put it on the door.
It's still there. It's there to stay. So.
Oh,
yes,
thank
Aaron
you.
B&B is our guest suite in our Port Stanley domicile.
Well, thank you.
So that was number 3 because you're clever, lady. Number 2, fake it till you make it. So we talked about when we've faked it and why.
Yeah. Oh, this has been a hard year. You know what kind of depression I've been in. And then the U.S. election just torpedoed me. And there was an article in Forbes, I don't know if I sent it to you or not, but that it's hitting women, the depression this year over that.
Yeah.
And I don't think I told you this, but my shrink told me that the 2 main topics in her office for the past 4 years have been U.S. politics and climate change.
Wow.
Isn't that wild?
Well, it is. And it's also understandable because it feels like everything that's important to some of us is being left behind or being overlooked, and women are being sidelined in some regards. I totally get it. I absolutely understand it.
Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it. And the number one most engaged, most liked, most talked about topic that we did this year was the story about the lawsuit over the engagement ring, and then you sharing your story of your and Rob's broken engagement.
Oh.
Before, of course, you got engaged again and then got married and everything else. But that was number 1.
How about that?
Yeah. Because we were talking about, do you give the ring back? Should you give the ring back? Are you legally bound to give the ring back? And it was a sweet story about you and Rob, too, because you could just, it was like a movie.
Oh, it was. It had all of the trajectory of a rom-com. You know, they get together, it's wonderful, and then there's that, there has to be a break, there has to be a crisis, and then they find their way back with some conflict, and then they seemingly live happily ever after.
And then she goes to Aspen and runs a tree farm. And then finds the real meaning of Christmas.
Oh my gosh, yes, gives up her entire life to pursue a man who lives in a hut so that she can have outdoor plumbing but truly be in love. But honestly, isn't that a little bit like what you and Derek did?
Yeah, I guess maybe, except where our separation was longer, much longer.
Well, okay, so it would have been a multiple episode series, but you got back together and you gave up your big city career. You said, I am going to give this up for love. And you did.
I did, but he wasn't the only reason. Let's be honest. It was time for a change.
Work with me.
Oh, sorry. I mean, yes.
Yes. You see? And now 15 years later, he's going to give you that ruby ring that you've always secretly wanted, but didn't want an engagement ring from him.
And instead, I got gloves from Mark's Work Warehouse that I sent him a link for and did everything but click on my own. But that's what we do in a real marriage, in real life.
Oh, geez. It reminds me of the Christmas I ruined a few years ago. Remember that, where I went to Rob's computer and I put all this stuff in an Amazon cart and all he did was hit click. And so it was so anticlimactic. It was just like, oh, yeah, I got that. Yay, I got that.
I do remember.
That was a dumb idea. And hey, while we're talking about it, a social media follow of mine, and I just love her, is Audrey Loves Paris. And she's a woman about our age, an honorary Queenager who's in her 70s, I think, and lives in Alberta. But she's pithy and pissy and she's so good. But the other day she said, just so you know, no woman wants an appliance for Christmas. And I went, okay, wait a second. Yep. And there were a few people who said, speak for yourself, lady. I mean, an appliance, the right air fryer, says all the perfect things to your loved one.
Right. As you probably know, what she's thinking of is don't tie up a Dyson if she hasn't asked you for one, or worse, something not as nice as a Dyson, and say, here, I got you a vacuum. Yeah. But I think that's old school thinking. I don't think that happens so much. No, I agree. An appliance can be perfect.
Mm-hmm. It can be something for both of you, as long as it's not something he secretly wants. And someone in her comments said, oh, yeah, one year there was a chainsaw. So I'd be putting that thing to use. If Rob got me a chainsaw, I'd be stand back. Run. No.
Well, as you know, we bought each other a fairly fancy coffee maker this year. So we went easy on the gifts, and that was all part of the plan.
But you had a good Christmas then, eh? Do you do anything Boxing Day, or do you just kind of sit around today and just put your feet up?
Yeah, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day are fairly busy. So yeah, Boxing Day's kind of quiet. And then tomorrow we're going to see friends in Elsa Craig. And more festivities on the weekend.
Lovely. Well, I'm not going to talk to you again here publicly. I mean, we're going to be texting back and forth and sending dirty memes all the time.
Oh, yeah.
But I wish you and Derek a very happy New Year. Now, do you stay? No way do you two stay up till midnight.
Are you kidding me?
Okay. I knew it was dumb as it was coming into my headphones. I would say take two, but let's just say you guys you're going to watch the ball drop in, gosh.
I'll watch the ball drop when he gets changed for bed, okay? That's going to be about it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll watch it alone on Eastern time here at 9:00 because Robbie's going home. And it's going to be our first New Year's Eve apart since 1986.
Wow, I can't believe that's happening.
So yeah, it is just another New Year's Eve. I guess we should wrap it up for this year, hey, Toots?
Yes, that's right.
Toots.
Toots? Oh, no, what do you call somebody when they call you Toots? Tits? Sorry.
Sure. Tits and Toots. And here's the kids. It's Tits, Toots, and Tots. All right. So we're going to go before we get really loopy here and give that Derek a belated birthday hug and kiss for me from Tuesday. And we'll talk to you next year, Miss Lisa.
Yep. Big hug for Robbie as well and the dogs.
Thanks, and thanks to NV Pillow and Sierra Sill. They're our presents under the tree because of you.